Hi everyone, it's Phil from Ashland Leather. I'm really excited to show you a brand new preview of a private stock event that's going to drop tomorrow. That's June 6th at 12 p.m. noon Central Time. In this drop, we are featuring some brand new shrunken horse leather, which is incredibly beautiful. Here's a fat Herbie that we're looking at here. We also have some rare and unique shell Cordovan pieces. I have new designs as well as some other special exciting leathers. Let's start it off first with this brand new shrunken horse. This is the first wallet that has ever been made out of this leather. We did some private stock belts about a week ago, and those turned out beautifully. Let's take a closer look at this naturally shrunken horse leather. It's very beautiful. It's a product Horween is calling Yellowstone. You may have seen it before from some wallets we've made in the Yellowstone bison, but this time the Yellowstone horse, we have the shrunken grain, and it's a little bit more of a fine texture when compared to the bison. And I say that, and we'll get into an example of something that is a little bit more coarse in a moment that is also made on the horse front. But the fat Herbie here with that blue hand stitching really helps the texture and color of this bourbon bison stand out. Before we get to some more of that new shrunken horse leather, I couldn't wait to show you this very unique piece of psychedelic shell Cordovan on a Bugs Moran. This particular piece ranges from that darker green to a little bit more yellow and tan, and it has some areas of purple, which are really neat. And we've done a nice job emphasizing some of the purple shades in that leather by hand staining all of the edges to also be that matching violet shade. Got some more psychedelic shell on the interior, and this Bugs Moran is hand stitched with a purple color stitching. And I mentioned we have some new wallet styles. Here's one of them. This is our small zip wallet that has become very popular. We just introduced natural shell Cordovan and black shell Cordovan small zip wallets for the first time. We had this idea here for the small zip with 4 additional quick access cards on the front and back. And I think this is a really interesting idea. I'd be curious to see what people think of this design, because before we didn't have any exterior card slots. The normal small zip wallet does not have any of these exterior card slots. We only have this gusseted section on the inside. And let's get back to the shrunken horse. I have a bunch of wallets that we'll look at. This is the difference. I mentioned earlier about a more coarse texture on the shrunken horse. And I think on some of those belts that we did before, I may have mistakenly called this look as bison, and it kind of has the same effect as bison. It's interesting to note that this Capone money clip was cut from the same skin as this Capone money clip, and you can really see the difference in the naturally shrunken texture. So we're calling this one the coarse texture of the bourbon shrunken horse, and the other one here we're calling the fine texture. It seems like there's about an equal blend of both textures. Personally, I can't choose a favorite, but I haven't seen much shrunken leather with this fine of a texture, so I might lean more towards the finer texture. And speaking of fine texture, here is the shrunken bison. Now, what's interesting about this is the shrunken bison that we have here in the blue color is almost finer than the horse, but it is a little bit less deep for the valleys and peaks of that texture. And again, this is naturally shrunken, so the tannery does not have any ability to control the depth of the texture, nor do they have the ability to control the fineness or coarseness of either of these. So this particular bison piece in the blue color is about as fine as I've ever seen the shrunken bison. And you might have figured out the theme of the day is sort of shrunken leathers. So we've got some more shrunken horse here on our small zip. This is our standard design with no exterior card slots. And let's compare that with the shrunken bison in the blue color. Now this one is a little bit more coarse than the Capone we just looked at, but both of them are totally beautiful. And there's something about these two colors together that I really like. And let's get into some more new wallet styles. This wallet here in the shrunken horse, the bourbon color, is a little bit taller than our normal Bugs Moran. So we're calling it the tall Bugs, but on the inside, we have 8 card slots. So we're calling this the tall vertical Bugs Moran. Several people have asked us to make the vertical Bugs Moran with a couple additional card slots, and that's exactly what we have here. This is 8 card slots. So we have 6 vertical slots, and then under each side are the hidden slots. Here's another one of our tall vertical Bugs Moran. This is the shrunken bison in the blue color. You'll notice on this wallet and the last one, we have different leathers on the inside. We chose to use thinner leathers for the interior of this design, and we don't have any thin bison or thin shrunken horse. So we're making these out of horse fronts of Dublin leather. So if you had normal thickness of leather for these, you could imagine just how bulky this design would get with all those different layers. So we thought that would be an appropriate choice. And I love the color combination, like I was mentioning before, with the blue and English tan. And one more variation to show you, sort of looks like the tall vertical bugs here. But this is the first ever appearance, I believe, of the tall vertical Tony the Ant. So it's just like that bugs, but we have the exterior bill slot. And then on the inside, we have some teal horsehide latigo. We'll keep it rolling with some more shrunken leathers. This is our traveler passport holder. It's sort of like our Fat Herbie design, except we made it a little bit taller so you can fit your passport on the inside just like this. And check out the shrunken grain on this traveler passport holder. Exceptional look for these horse fronts. And I mentioned this is the first ever time that leather has been made into a wallet, and we couldn't be happier. All right, here's another brand new leather again, the Shrunken Bison in the blue color. This is the same wallet design, the traveler passport holder. And let's compare that with the Fat Herbie. So you can see the Fat Herbie is slightly shorter in height when compared to the traveler passport holder. This one is designed to fit perfectly in your back pocket. If you were to put a passport inside of the Fat Herbie, you would notice it would fit right along the edge of all these stitch marks. So we used to do it where we'd leave this flap open and you can kind of slide a passport in there, but it would kind of stick out a tiny bit, which is why we made the traveler design. The Fat Herbie is more of a wallet design, where the traveler is of course made for traveling with passport. All right, we got some smaller designs here that I'd like to show you that are a little bit of a lower price point. So if you're looking to try out the Shrunken Horse or the Shrunken Bison in person, these are all sub $100 products. So here's a Bugs Moran, again in that beautiful naturally shrunken horse in the bourbon color. Here's a machine gun jack, which is another new design that we're showing you. This one has an additional card slot divider on the inside. That's the new change for this. If you want to fit folded cash inside the machine gun jack here, you have to fold it into thirds. So don't necessarily recommend it for holding cash, but for holding cards, it does a really great job. And another wallet, our most minimalist design. This is the one-shot card case. Speaking of holding cards, this is perfect for doing that. I think these are sub $40. I forget how much these cost, but the Shrunken Bison leather is a little bit more expensive than most of our other grain leathers. And that's because the yield from the tannery, of course, is smaller because they are naturally shrinking the leather. So the cost per foot for all the shrunken leathers is just a little bit more expensive. All right, a couple more small pieces to show you. Our Bic lighter and lighter sheath. This is in the bourbon Shrunken Horse that is hand stitched. And we've got a couple vault key holders to show you, one in the bourbon horse and one in the blue bison. And it wouldn't be a full private stock event unless we included some Chicago combs with comb sheaths. So we've got our carbon fiber comb that pairs with either the blue bison or the bourbon horse. And last up for the shrunken stuff, I've got a couple of our most popular wallet designs. This is Johnny the Fox. We've made this with two different interior color combinations. So we got the blue bison with black on the inside, or you can choose the blue bison with the royal blue cypress interior. Did I mention we have 100 wallets in the private stock drop? I'm gonna have to move it along kind of quickly. Speaking of our most popular wallet style, I've got some Johnny the Foxes to show you. Love this combination here. This is the new gray latigo with the lizard texture that is hand stitched with the gray stitching. And the inside, this is a great combination with violet shell cordovan and more of the gray lizard. Here's one I did a little bit of a teaser on last week, the end of last week. This is Epic Cigar Shell Cordovan. You can see that really beautiful texture on the piece of shell here. That's why we call it epic. And not all shells are created like that, nor does the tannery have any ability to control that texture. So when we get them we like to make them into special pieces. We've got a cigar hand stained edge for this Johnny the Fox. And then on the inside, we have reverse cigar shell cordovan. And we've also done a little bit of a hand glazing to this piece of reverse cordovan. You can see just that shiny wet look. That's from the finishing that we've done to it. We also have an additional baby Ashland stamp with the gold foil. Another special Johnny the Fox marbled ultraviolet shell cordovan. This one is hand stitched with a sapphire blue stitching. And we've got more marbled ultraviolet on the interior. Up next is a really beautiful piece. We've got whiskey shell cordovan, one of the more rare shell cordovan colors. The tannery does not produce this color very often. It's a little bit darker and it's a little bit more golden brown when compared to the natural shell cordovan. And on the inside, we've got some reverse interior. Another extra special piece here. This is natural shell cordovan on the Johnny the Fox. It will give me a chance to compare and contrast it with the whiskey on the top. You can see what I was talking about. It's a little bit darker and more golden. The natural shell cordovan, of course, a little bit lighter, but both of them sort of aged to be the same color. The reason this one is extra special is we were able to find some naturally thin pieces of Cordovan for the interior. So we've made a 100% natural shell Cordovan Johnny the Fox. And up next is another new one with another new leather natural shell Cordovan, same as the last wallet, but on the inside, we were able to reduce the price for these by using Horween's Latigo leathers. So we asked Horween to match some Latigo leather to the color of natural shell, and that's what we have here. I like the Latigo interiors because it keeps the thickness down, but it also saves about $100 for the price. All right, more new stuff. Here's another tall Tony the Ant with the vertical card slots. And this one, of course, being a tall Tony, we have the bill slot on the outside. This is made in Horween's Cypress leather in the teal color, which is really, really beautiful. I love the burst effect that you can see down the spine here. As you flex the leather, we sort of mobilize that hard wax layer that was finished on the surface of the grain, and we reveal a little bit of a lighter teal color underneath, and the combination of those two is beautiful. I also love the combination of English tan with the teal. This one might be my stunner of the day. Another tall vertical bugs. This is the 8-slot bugs, but this one has green shell Cordovan and black shell Cordovan on the interior. Some of the nicest shells that I've ever seen. When I was taking photos of this one, it really, really stood out as an exceptional piece. On the exterior, we have reverse Cordovan with a great ink stamp cut right into the center. And another new one, just like that Tony the Ant, but this time is in the 8-slot vertical tall bugs Moran. Another one here that's relatively new, Tony the Ant. And this is a leather you may not have seen before. This is the Visage Latigo from Horween. It has brown on the surface with a red cross section. That's what Visage Latigo means. If you look at the back side of the leather, it's all red. It means they drum dyed it red and stained a different color on the top. That is what is known as Visage Latigo. This one's a little bit different because we have vertical card slots on the inside of the Tony. So it's just called a normal vertical Tony the Ant. And we've got some vertical bugs Moran to look at. This one is royal blue Cypress on the outside with an alternating teal and blue interior. Here's another one, royal blue with full teal on the inside. Another one here, royal blue Cypress, and we've sort of flipped them backwards, so it's royal blue on teal on royal blue alternating. Another Cypress piece here, but this is the brown color. It's a little bit more of a popular color than the blue. This one has vertical card slots that are alternating between the brown Cypress and teal Latigo. And one more vertical bugs, another brown Cypress. You can see this piece is a little bit lighter, and each piece of Cypress is just a little bit of a different color. That's because the waxes interact with the grain just a little bit differently on each piece of the hide, or each section of the hide, I should say. And the interior, we've got alternating royal blue and brown Cypress. Let's get in some more stuff here. Here's another one. This is our normal vertical bugs Moran with the same color combination as earlier, teal Cypress with English tan on the inside. Here's a really beautiful one. We've got reverse black shell Cordovan, and the reverse side of the black shell is this darker green shade, and it can range in color, but oftentimes it's a little bit more of a forest green like this. I love the reverse black with the black hand-stained edges that you can see here, and then the interior of this is completely flush with black shell. Here's another special piece. This is Western violet shell Cordovan, and if you look closely at this one, it looks like the tannery sort of double pressed the violet texture in there. It's kind of like a blurry texture, which I think is really neat. It might be hard to see in the video here, but it's really, really beautiful. We also have a white hand stitching on this one. Another total stunner. I love the way this one turned out. Cigar shell Cordovan. It's a little bit of a lighter cigar shell, some hand stained edges, and then the vertical card slots on the interior. And we've got one regular Tony the Ant in the batch today. Violet shell Cordovan on amaretto shell Cordovan, waxed and burnished edge, and then the same color combo on the interior. So here's some special pieces. If you did not catch the Full Grain podcast last week, we spoke about this leather at length in that podcast. Check out Full Grain podcast on Apple or Spotify or YouTube. It's all over the place. But this is leather that was tanned by Horween in 1949, and it's an old tannage from 1940. It's leather they have sitting around for years and years. They're not able to reproduce it. It's really special. It's very thin, incredible tight grain on this. And then what I like most about it is the color. It's just a really beautiful sort of golden blonde shade. We've got this on our vertical Frank the Enforcer. So 2 card slots in the front. There's a hidden card slot here, a slot in the center. And then on the back, we've got the same combination. This 1940s calfskin is great for this design. There's so many layers of leather, but the old calf here is very, very thin, so it suits this one perfectly. And here's another vertical Frank the Enforcer. This time it's in reverse cigar shell Cordovan. And the reverse side of the cigar is a little bit more of this tan. Sometimes you see darker brown spots. We also have a hand stitching on this one. And here's a look at the back where we have a single card slot. Some more Bugs Moran to show you. This one is Whiskey Shell Cordovan. And here's another one in some really cool marbled black shell Cordovan on top of reverse shell. Here's a look at the back side, reverse Cordovan, and then a hand stained edge. And then this one, this marbled piece really speaks to me as well. Love the color range between that lighter golden tan shade and the darker forest green and all the colors in between, especially on the back side of this one. You can really see what I'm talking about. And if you weren't familiar with the reverse side of Color 8 Shell Cordovan, that's what this is. The reverse side of Color 8 Shell is a little bit more of a reddish tan that people also like. This one ages to become a little bit darker and more brown, which is beautiful. And you thought we were done with the prototype designs. For this design, we have Chestnut Dublin on top of Royal Blue Cypress. This is made with the same card patterns as our Lucky Wallet. They're a little bit bigger than normal, so 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and 1 in the center. Here's another one in Amaretto Shell Cordovan. This happens to be my favorite Shell Cordovan color. It's really dynamic, so depending on what angle you look at it, it's a little bit more orange. Other angles, it's a little bit more red and tan. And one more to look at, the Lucky Card Holder prototype. We got black on Ultraviolet Shell Cordovan. And here's another similar design, but this one is a little bit smaller. Maybe I can compare the size for you. So the Lucky prototype card holder is underneath. This one on top in Garnet Shell Cordovan is more of the size of our Frank the Enforcer. So 2 card slots in the front, 1 in the center, and then 2 on the back. And one more of the prototypes, we've got Reverse Blue on Denim Blue Shell Cordovan. We've got a whole bunch more wallets to show you. Too many to show in the video. Like I said, over 100, which is just a ton. We have another new design here. This is the Denim Blue Shell Cordovan on Ultraviolet Shell Cordovan. The 2 additional card slots on the front and 2 on the back for our small zip wallet. And I have 3 of our standard small zips to show you. This one is built for patina. Raw denim shell Cordovan, you can see, is a little bit more of a matte finish to start. This one has teal stitching along the outside, which I think works very nicely. And the inside we have black horsehide latigo. Here's another one in green gator shell Cordovan with a teal stitching along the border. And then on the inside, we're sort of hinting at it here with the teal stitching. We've got teal horsehide for the interior. And another gator piece here. This one turned out great. Whiskey shell Cordovan gator with the teal stitching and then more teal on the interior. We have one other passport design. That's what this is here. We call it the Passport Field Notes holder. We originally designed this to fit both a passport and a field notes. You can fit them under each of the sides. This one is natural shell Cordovan on the outside with reverse Cordovan on the interior. Here's a blast from the past, the Louis Little New York. This one is natural shell Cordovan, and we've got some hand glazed reverse color 8 to pair with it. What's really cool about this design, it's asymmetrical. So there's one larger slot that will fit folded cash and cards on the other side. And when you close it, it sort of stays like this. But what I like about it is this little skive and turn that we have going over the outside. You get to see both leathers. Here's another machine gun jack in a brand new leather. This is the gray Cypress leather. We've included an additional card slot divider on this guy. And that's also visage latigo. You can see in the cross section some of the orange that the gray was sprayed over for that little additional card slot. Here's another total stunner. More raw denim shell Cordovan. This time it is on the Capone money clip. People love the orange hand stitching, that bold, chunky thread look, and there's something about the orange that sort of makes most colors look great. I really love the raw denim Cordovan for how it wears in, develops with patina. We've got a blue hand stained edge for this guy, and then more raw denim on the interior. Great looking splatter on the interior center, and then the baby Ashland stamp in gold foil. Here's a fun one. Not a lot of people have seen Chrome Excel leather. We used to do a lot of Chrome Excel wallets. This is a version of Chrome Excel that we call Epic Chrome Excel. This epic texture on the outside and on the inside of this wallet are, and again, other things that the tannery cannot control. So we're sort of talking about texture a lot in today's private stock event. And I've got some of our new designs here, more Lucky wallets. This is color number 8 shell Cordovan for the Lucky wallet. As you wear this, the veg tan character of the Cordovan will naturally hold this flap down in place. So you don't have to use any hardware. You don't have to tuck it in anything. It's no fuss. It's a great wallet design. You can fit cash on the inside here. We've stitched it down a little bit lower to give you a little bit more easy access to your cash. And of course, we've got your card holders on the inside and then one on the back. Here's a couple more Lucky wallets in color combinations. Royal blue with red mystic. Not a lot of people have seen the red mystic leather. We don't carry it. It's something I've collected that I've really liked. And we like to combine the red mystic with other colors to make really interesting color combos. So blue and red for this Lucky wallet. And we sort of inverted the whole thing where it's red on blue for this guy with a blue flap. If you thought we were done with special stuff, let me show you some marbled color 8 shell Cordovan Fat Herbies. This is my favorite wallet design. And I love the way that these pieces of marbled color 8 turned out. I really like this clearly delineated color difference on the marble shells. I know a lot of people like a little bit more of a subtle look that you kind of see down in the corner there, but I really like to see the two colors right next to each other, maybe a little bit more extreme for me. We've got two different marbled color 8 pieces. Here's the first one that's really dramatic. The other one's also dramatic, but it's a little bit more subtle. I assume most people prefer this look, but I sort of prefer that look. But it's really, really special, especially in person. Here's a look at the outside of this one. Sort of looks like a sunset. And I had seen some people comment on the last private stock video that we did not have enough Frank the Enforcer. So here's one in cigar shell Cordovan. We've got a matching cigar shell Cordovan hand stained edge. And then all the pieces on this are cigar shell. And then one more Frank the Enforcer. I almost couldn't find it. This is another piece of hand glazed reverse color 8 shell, and we've got some really great splatter going on for this guy. Personally, I really love the hand glazed look, but this is how the leather will start to naturally age, just with the moisture from your body and friction in your pocket. It sort of gets polished up to appear this way naturally. We expedite the process for you, apply a little bit of material, and then polish it in. I think it's a really, really great look. So man, I don't know. There's too many special pieces. I'm just going to go with one that's closest for me. This raw denim shell Cordovan Capone with the orange hand stitching. Really great shrunken horse hide in the video today. We had some shrunken bison again, new designs. What more could you ask for? I think this is one of our greatest private stock events yet. Thanks so much for checking out the video today. If you want to pick up one of these, they will be available on our private stock page of our website, ashlandleather.com tomorrow, and that's June 4th. I always have to look at my watch to see what date it is. Tomorrow, June 4th at 12 p.m. noon Central Time. And again, you can find it on Ashland Leather on the private stock tab. And if you're not on the newsletter, you probably should be on the Ashland newsletter. On there, you'll get a heads up notice when we're about to go live for that private stock drop. And a lot of people like to jump on these sort of quickly, and they tend to sell it pretty fast. So if you're the first to know, you have a better chance of picking up one of these if you like it. And you know, if you saw something in the video here and it sells out, just let us know. We can probably have one made to order for you. In fact, we do made to order for most of our wallets. So if there's something you would like to see exist in the world, don't hesitate to reach out. You can send us an email, info@ashlandleather. Until next time, I hope you have a good one and take care.